Really a basement dweller. Oh gosh, I wish Hillary Clinton was running again, and I was doing this in my basement. All right, so limited setup. I need to do cleaning. Please come in. I don't want to be in front of the camera talking. I'd rather have you guys come in and talk and talk about things. And I like to listen. I like to hear what's going on. I'm not always aware of what's going on these days while I'm getting set up. I'm still streaming on my laptop. I've got to get area cleaned before I do anything like that. So let's see. Hey, Baba. Yeah, I'm alive. Oh man, the stories. The stories. You know what this reminds me of? Moving to a place where it's a lot of work. Hey, Fly. Nice seeing you, Fly. Hey, Harold. Ah, gosh. I was looking and I didn't see anyone streaming last night or. Oh, that's loud. Hold on. I gotta turn that down. Um, Hold on. Hopefully this doesn't affect anyone else. Okay. It's really loud. Okay. Zoom. Lucas. Lucas is here. Hey, Lucas. How's it going? Hold on. I need to turn up the sound. Okay. Can you test your mic again?
Hello.
Awesome. Well, it's gonna be a busy week. A lot of people, not just me, my stuff, but other people, other plans, a lot of things going on in the world. So what's up, Lucas? I saw on Twitter on the UDM that there's a lot of made a lot of friends. So what's that all about?
Yeah, yesterday I got to meet Dennis Kucinich and his wife,
Whoa, awesome.
and I got she gave me her email, and then I also got to meet the woman who's the Green Party candidate for governor for Ohio, and she invited me to be a part of her campaign at the actual state level.
Oh wow, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I'm hoping that it's that whenever she said that she meant a paid position. It'd be really cool to actually have a paid job for the Green Party.
Yeah. Well, did you call back or are you waiting? I guess until Monday. I guess, huh?
Yeah, I want to wait until it's a weekday, and everything, and call, but or text her because she gave me her number and email, but I want to see if I can get Graham or Ron from the Jimmy Dore show,
Mm-hmm.
and see if Jimmy will interview her because she needs exposure really bad. Barely anyone in Ohio knows who she is.
Yeah. And so so this year actually she's running in 2018.
Yeah,
Wow, it feels like late. It feels like she should have been campaigning or getting out there like half a year ago at least.
I think she has been. But the thing is, I think that the media people for the Green Party in Ohio, there's not very many.
Okay.
Because there is an Ohio Green Party, but it's so small that there's only one elected Green Party member in the entire state, and it's
Okay.
a school. It's a school board member in Youngstown.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you got to be like the James Manna of Ohio.
Yeah.
He's big on the Green Party, but he's doing a lot with them, so that's good. Um, Hopefully, you can do interviews with them, actually, Lucas. Rather than having Graham do it or anyone else do it, you should do it or work on their campaign. You know.
Yeah. Well, it's really great because her running mate for lieutenant governor is an agriculture professor who's he's all educated in permaculture and sustainable agriculture and stuff. And whenever she started talking about it, I was the only person in the room who knew what she was talking about, and I was just yes, yes.
What you're not just focusing on watching basketball? It's the playoffs. Come on. Lucas.
Well, that's what Kucinich and his wife, like his wife is like an expert in sustainable agriculture too, and like that's like a big part of their platform. Like their slogan is "Farms, not fracking," and
Mm-hmm.
basically they want to reinvigorate Ohio's economy through farms, co-ops, and a rail system. Uh, and like it would just be, I mean, both of them, like Green Party and Kucinich samples, like it's
Yeah.
amazing. Like they're both their platforms because both their platforms are pretty much the same. Like they both want a lot of the same things. I think Kucinich is a bit more anti-gun than the Green Party is, um,
Yeah.
but like all of their economic policy and things are just amazing, and agricultural policy things, it's just amazing. And it's like his wife, I did not know how tall his wife is and how short he is until I saw him today.
Yeah.
Because he is like 4 foot something, and she is like
I didn't know he was that short. He's really 4 feet something.
it felt like it. I'm not. He might be 5 foot something, but it felt like it was 4 foot something because he is very short. But whenever he's speaking, he doesn't seem short because everybody else is sitting down.
Yeah.
But his wife is just so tall. Like she's like 6 foot something. Like I mean, she's incredibly tall, and she's British, which I was not expecting.
Oh, I didn't know that either.
Yeah, she's a British documentary filmmaker / sustainable agriculture expert, and she sits on a board at the Rodale Institute and like for the United Nations agriculture development.
Okay.
Or
Um.
sorry, not United Nations. It's another NGO. It's one of the nonprofit NGOs.
Okay. I was gonna say United Nations. That's all right. It's good
I,
stuff.
I I think that David. I don't think she sits on the board at the. I think she sits on the board of a nonprofit that's given advice and recommendations to the United Nations.
Okay. That makes more sense. Or actually, I would be more okay with that. Hey, there's Muna, someone new. Hey, Muna from the UK. Wow, first UK person I've seen around, at least openly stated.
Yeah.
And he gets to see my beautiful basement. You guys all get to see my beautiful basement. Um, now that I'm actually in Columbus, Nebraska, and just the agriculture here is just, it's, I don't know. Do you guys really want something like this in Ohio? Maybe you guys would want something more like what's in like New England with like small farms and stuff like that rather than big agriculture. So how would your green candidate kind of be for the like the big change in agriculture? Is it going to be much like it is in Middle America, or is it going to be just really small, sustainable farming types? How do you grow that to something and prevent it from become overtaken by big agriculture?
Well, it'd be through government financial incentives, like that kind of thing, like state funded programs. So like instead of like having the federal government subsidize corn and wheat, because I mean, if you were to go through the middle of America, like Kansas and Nebraska, like all the farms in Iowa, Ohio is basically the exact same thing. It's just corn, wheat, and soy, like the whole state.
Hmm.
Uh, very,
Okay.
very, very small amount of the state is dedicated to other things. Like a lot of it, it's basically Ohio is corn mostly, and then there's some wheat and soy thrown in, and then suburban sprawl is the rest of the state.
Oh,
Like it's like suburban sprawl in Ohio is really ridiculously awful. Like it's just nothing but sprawl for the entire state. But one of the things that they want to do is combine the farm thing with a co-op system,
hmm,
and so and to incentivize farmers to grow less instead of more, like Earl Butz, Nixon's agricultural secretary, because like he's the guy who really did a lot to hurt agriculture in the United States, because he was basically like the
you
neoliberal of agriculture.
you mean hurt
Where
agriculture in a good way? Big agriculture, like never mind. I when you say hurt agriculture, I don't want you to people to mistake it for like hurt agriculture, just like in a bad way. Maybe hurt
well,
the
well, yeah, well that's what Earl Butz did though. He made big agriculture big. is what I'm saying.
Okay. So he did hurt it in a bad way.
Yeah, he
Okay.
like when I like Earl Butz was basically like the neoliberal version of like a farmer. Uh, like because his idea was instead of whenever there's too much corn and it's cheap, and to like it used to be that if you couldn't sell your corn for a high enough price to make money on it, that was because everybody was growing too much, and so the government would tell you grow less this year. That way the price stays high and you can make your money back. And like the government used to regulate all that stuff. And then Earl Butz came in and he said that because all of the white moms in middle America want cheap food, that instead of growing less to keep the price stable, you all just need to grow more. That way you can make up for the loss in profits. And so every year the corn farmers have needed more and more land ever since the 70s. And that's why they're cutting down the last windrows to prevent the dust, that was planted to prevent a dust bowl from happening. So they can get that extra 10 foot of space to to till and plant corn. And he really just completely destroyed the land and the farming for a lot of I mean, he's not the only person. He just accelerated it, and he put it on like a really fast track
Yeah.
and really destroyed the incentives and the incentives it's a really perverse incentive, to plant more corn, because it's if the price goes down by 10%, well, just plant 10% more corn.
Yeah.
And in reality that means the price goes down by 20%. So it's just a race to the bottom, like the whole neoliberal globalism type thing. It's like outsourcing jobs and shit like that.
Yeah. What kills me when I'm here is when I go to a grocery store, the supermarket, and I find a lot of the vegetables, and they're still from California, they're still from Florida, and like, holy smokes, there's just farms everywhere here. Why are we buying it from California? Yeah, that stuff kills me.
Yeah, tell me about it. Like that's been my realization ever since I first got into farming like 6 years ago. Like I've just been like, why when we can grow apples right outside our front doors, why are we buying apples that were grown in Washington State and in Argentina?
Yeah.
And like and blueberries, we're getting blueberries shipped up from Mexico right now. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's how they're seasoned and everything like that, or from South America, and from Spain and all these different countries. Like we shouldn't be getting all of our fruits and vegetables in from every other country when we can grow them here. It's like I can understand wanting to trade with other countries so that we can get coffee and bananas and
Mm-hmm.
tea and warm tropical stuff like that. And like wanting to trade with Florida where they can grow oranges. But like the idea that Florida buys orange, like people from Florida buy oranges that were grown on like a plantation whenever they can plant oranges in their backyard is insane. And like there were some permaculture guys who made a documentary. I forget what it's called, but they went down in and they just drove along the streets in the big cities in Florida, and they found all of these orange trees and lemon trees and all these citrus trees, and they would go and they'd knock on the doors of the people's houses and they'd ask if they could harvest the fruit on them, and the people would say yeah, and they'd go in to the houses like to get to the backyard, and they noticed that there was bags of oranges that were from the grocery store there, even though the oranges were in season in their backyard. And he would ask them like why they bought that, and they're like, "Oh, I wouldn't eat those oranges from the tree." Like it was like as if it was like beneath them or something like that, or as if like it was like gross to eat oranges from a tree because they didn't come from a grocery store. And food comes from a grocery store, not from the planet.
Can you answer Muna's? I'm not sure if I'm saying the name correctly, Muna or Muna. Um, so he or she is asking if we have local council authority owned allotments in the U.S. I don't know exactly what that means. It might be different wordage from UK versus American English, just like lift and elevator type stuff. But is local allotment um, like private land?
No, it's an allotment is city-owned land that or well, like sometimes it's private land, but most of the time in England, to my understanding, is that it's usually unused city-owned land, like a park or something, or part of a park that's gone like wild, and like it's
Oh,
covered in vegetables. and they'll give it to people who want to farm or garden, and
Kind of like
they'll like rent it out. They'll like rent it out for free to them for like a year or for several years at a time, and they'll say, here, you can garden on this because this is publicly owned land, so you're part of the public, and a lot of times it'll be a neighborhood will get together and they'll get an allotment together, and they'll like all go in on the work together, and in on the animals together,
is,
and in on the
it,
fruit and vegetables together.
is it like community gardening in a way?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
but
Okay.
you can also like a lot of times it's community garden, but you can also get allotments that are personal allotments. And over there's a program called Land Share that was started by a chef, Hugh Fernley Winningstall. I mentioned him a few times before,
Hmm.
but he started this program where if you have a lot of land that you're not using, you can go on Land Share and say, hey, anyone out there who lives near me and wants to garden, you can come garden on my land. Just I'm not physically able to go out and do it, or I don't have the time. So since I'm giving you my land, could you give me some of the stuff growing?
Yeah.
And that's like what they do over there.
I mean, like I know private landowners here can go ahead and rent off some of their land for people to grow, and they just get a profit off of it. But as far as like a city owning it or some like the state owning it and trying to get something like that, I don't really know. I think I know like certain city spaces. I think that's more doable. But for like state, the state just feels like, you know what? It's no, it's public land. We don't want people growing stuff on it. But I think if it's like local or county, it's a lot easier to do here in the U.S. And
Yeah,
also,
they
oh, go ahead.
well, there it's usually the cities that do it too. Like, because there's a lot, like they have a lot more people's rights when it comes to land. So there's squatters' rights. Like if you go and you squat on a piece of land for a year without anyone kicking you off, it becomes your land. Like you get to live there now.
Yeah.
And they also have, or at least I believe it's a year. It might be more or less, but I
Hmm.
think it's a year. But they also have trespassing rights. So like if some rich person has a bunch of land that they're not using, you can go and legally forage on their land, and like get wild edibles and stuff on there. And the most they can charge you with is a civil offense. So if you don't leave when they ask you, they can fine you, but they can't put you in jail like they can in America. And the fines are generally a lot smaller than they would be if you're in America.
Okay. Yeah. Muna was also talking about waiting times, like having being in a waiting list. Because I know my wife back in Somerville, Massachusetts, she was waiting on a waiting list for, man, this thing is annoying, for community garden and wait list. I think it took her 2 or 3 years for her to actually get her plot of gardening space, and and that was the one at Tufts University, the one that she was doing for like the community garden, the community path. She didn't even get that one.
Wow. Yeah, well, that's like I'm not sure how long the wait is in England, but I'm pretty sure like there's a certain time of year. Maybe I'm wrong about this, but I think there's like a certain time of year where they open up like registration for allotments, and you can like sign up to like be like on the waiting list for an allotment, and the list is always filled up like immediately, and like it's always like as far out as like the eye can see, like
Hmm.
just filled up with names, like because it's such a small country with so many people, and like everyone, and like people there in England are much more into gardening than we are here in America.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
Now,
it's been a much bigger part of their life, just throughout the entire history of their country, whereas in the US we got away from farming really early.
yeah. I mean, it would be good to set up something like that. Communities everywhere. The thing is, it feels like it's a lot more difficult to reverse industrialization in a better way than it is just make everything industrialized, commercialized. Everything is just big mass production, and it's we now we know it's not really sustainable in a good way. It's just you
Well,
can't
it's not
really.
sustainable in any way. in reality, like, because we won't have the energy to go that way forever. We won't have the soil. I mean,
Yeah.
right now we've already destroyed 75% of the Earth's arable, farmable soils.
Hmm. And the water quality, it just pollutes the rivers, pollutes the ocean. It's just horrible. I mean, as a fisherman, I'm not sure if you still like us fishermen or not, but we're always looking for places to fish. It's nice to catch a fish, but I go fishing to eat the fish. You don't want to eat any of the fish where they don't stock it. So basically, only places where they stock fish is it pretty much safe to eat the fish, because otherwise you're just getting all this agricultural runoff or industrial runoff, and uh, it's horrible.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's all like I would fish, a lot more often if I could eat it. Like I don't have the patience to fish if I'm just gonna throw it back anymore. Like,
Mm,
because like around here, if you were to go to any of the watersheds, it's all so polluted from agriculture runoff that you couldn't eat any of the fish you catch. You
yeah.
know, I had a catfish once, and it was, it tasted pretty good. It tasted just like, like Long John Silver's. Whenever we had it,
Eh,
but it wasn't huge. It was only like 5 or 6 pounds. It was big enough that you could eat it. But it wasn't huge. And you know it it's there's a limit to how much fish you can eat around here, and we got it from a fairly clean place in
yes.
comparison to everywhere else. But like, there's charts that say, like, if you wanted to eat the fish out of the river here, you could safely only eat like one fish per month without being like poisoned.
Yeah. Uh,
And even that's pushing it.
well, one of the things I like to talk about people about the stuff about catching the fish and eating it in all these agriculture runoff areas is, that's just a runoff. All of that's like going into your food and the soil and the stuff that you eat. And if you won't even eat the fish that you catch out of the runoff, why would you want to eat any of the food where it's actually grown on?
Yeah.
So yeah, and it's expensive to eat the like all the organic stuff, local grown stuff, organic. That stuff is expensive in the grocery stores. It's like a niche market.
Yeah,
Uh,
especially when you're in a place like Columbus, Nebraska, or Dover, Ohio, like in the places that, like, in the middle of America, like the further you get from the coasts, the more expensive healthy food is because it's not grown there.
mhm.
And if you go to the big cities where all the yuppies are, and like the liberals live, and the people who eat vegan and organic and all that kind of stuff all the time, and where the market is for that stuff, it's actually cheaper to eat organic in those places than it is to eat conventional. Like, if you were to go to New York City and you went to the places that aren't tourist hotspots, excuse me, if you went to the place that weren't tourists hotspots, all the organic food is way cheaper than the conventional food. The only times you go find organic food is more expensive are the places where they know they can rip off all the tourists.
Yeah, it's amazing, and I think the stuff that cracks me up is um, is when I see on the milk carton, because I remember I was in Boston, downtown Boston, and just getting something to eat in the local corner store, and theirs is all organic, local, locally grown and stuff. But their milk carton, it says it has a picture of a cow. It says grass fed cows, and I'm like, wow, we've gotten to the point where we have to tell people uh, that they're eating the cows that they're milking are eating what they naturally eat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh gosh, we're in such. I like it when I think the outer light, Ed from the outer light says we're in the mirror world, and it is just a weird world that we're living in. It is. It just feels mind boggling. It's
Oh
like
yeah.
grass eat cows eat grass, but we're not going to feed them grass because grass is somehow too expensive.
Well,
It's everywhere. Anyways, sorry.
yeah, I mean, it's crazy. And like, I want to ask you, like, do you like, so whenever you hear the word skim milk, what do you think of? Like, what do you think skim milk is?
I always think it's like it's just less fat. I mean, I just know from the like nutrition, which is almost no fat in the milk. It's watery. I don't really know. I just think it's like I typically get whole milk, um, or at least 2% milk. But when I was a kid and I was growing up, and I was like, I need to intake less fat because I was trying to be really buff or whatever. Just
Hmm.
working out a lot. I'd be drinking skim milk or 1%.
Well, and now, I mean, because like skim milk, like what it originally meant was that you skimmed the fat off the top of it, and so it was fat-free milk that was just the sugar and the protein in the milk, and that
Hmm.
was it. And nowadays, like if you were a farmer, right, and you had your cows and you skimmed the fat off to make skim milk, you legally could not sell it as skim milk unless you add in a bunch of chemicals that and like vitamins and minerals.
Oh yeah. Okay. So it's basically fortified milk without.
Yeah. And the reason for that is because all of the cows that are fed on the feedlots, where they get the milk from, they don't have that naturally in their milk like the grass-fed cows do. And so, even though the grass-fed cows already have all that shit in their milk, and a lot of that stuff that they add to the milk it shouldn't be in there anyway. Uh, Unless you add all that stuff to it, you legally can't sell it as skim milk.
That's weird.
Yeah, it's insane. And like, and there's some states where they've outlawed the sale of raw milk.
Mhm.
Like, so if you have like, so if pasteurized milk doesn't agree with you or it makes your allergies worse, a lot of times they found that giving young kids or adults even raw milk instead will help them not like they won't have the same adverse reactions to it as when it's pasteurized. And if you want to do that, in some states you have to like drive to the border and like get it over state lines and then like turn around and go back home with all your raw milk and try to not be caught by the police.
That's just crazy. Yeah, we are
Yeah,
living in a backwards world.
yeah,
Mirror world.
it's insane that it's illegal to sell raw milk. Like if you wanted to give away raw milk,
Hmm.
you could do that, and or if you wanted to drink your own. But if someone was willing to buy it from you, like if they knew what they were buying and they were willing to buy it from you, it's illegal for you to sell it to them.
Yeah, that's depressing.
Yeah. Well, and that's all by design though,
Yep.
because like think about how whenever you think about people, the politicians, the establishment, Democrats and the Republicans always run on less regulations, but whenever they get elected, they always enact all these really overbearing, awful regulations on all the small scale businesses, all the small farms. That way, next time they run, they can run on fighting regulations, and then when they get elected, they'll loosen the regulations for the giant businesses, tighten them on the smaller businesses, and then they'll be able to run on it again. And then
Yep.
and it's like a self-sustaining thing, and it's worked. It's worked for a really long time, and only recently have some like libertarian farmers started to catch on to, hey, oh my goodness, the reason that I hate regulations is because the people who run on anti-regulations, they're the ones who enact all the regulations that hurt me.
Yeah. And what's funny is because I know a lot of people here are big on socialism type of stuff, and I'm not for socializing everything. I think there's some good and there's some bad with it, but like the libertarian, hard-leaning right seem to think it's just pure evil, even though we socialize a lot of programs. It's basically, anyways. I don't want to get into that today. It's Sunday night. We just had May the Fourth be with you in the Cinco de Mayo. So I don't know what the six is. Does the six signify anything? It just feels like it's kind of trying to wind down because it was like a busy weekend of stuff.
Yeah, I think the sixth is nationwide hangover day.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
It's well, that and the day after St. Patrick's Day.
I don't even remember what day St. Patrick's Day is. I just know when people wear green, I'm like, oh crap, I forgot to wear green.
Yeah, yeah, that's me every year. Like I even have special shirts, like for like St. Patrick's Day. Like the green shirts that have like the Irish like
Huh.
like the You know, it's got like the green bow tie and everything like that on just like a t-shirt, and like it's got like a button that says "Kiss Me, I'm Irish" and everything on it. And I just like I've had it for years and I've never worn it because I've always forgotten on St. Patrick's Day. That's the only day of the year that I can wear it.
Yeah, the only green thing I seem to have is a Boston Celtics shirt that my wife bought me. You see me wearing it every once in a while, but yeah, that's the only green shirt that I have. I don't wear green pants, so that's out of question. Uh, no green jackets. Yeah, I don't really wear green all that much. I used
Yeah,
to. Oh, go ahead.
I always I always tell people like whenever they come up and try to pinch me, I always say, "Hey, my underwear are green, okay?" And I'll be like, "They didn't start out that way, but they're green."
Oh yeah, there you go, Tracy. Smoke green. There you go. um,
And now I can tell people, "Hey, I might not be wearing green, but I am green because I voted green. So shut up."
that's true. It's I do feel bad. It's like this was 2016 was the only time I actually voted green. It's like really. I mean, the thing is, yeah, like when I was in the whole mainstream media and all that stuff, I've, and even my brother. I mean, people would be saying, "Yeah, these guys are nuts. The Green Party or all these independent parties, they're just crazy wackos." It's like, what do you mean? They sound pretty good to me, right? And then it just keeps carrying over. You don't want to be that person that votes for the weirdo or supports the weirdos. It's like, you know what? I think I am that weirdo. I don't fit in with the system. It's like, yeah, I don't. I think you guys are the weirdos. You guys are living in backwards world, backwards land. So I don't know. Like I don't think it's gonna work, but at least you guys are trying. The green, like who are supporting Green Party. I'm like, I'm all for it. I say go for any different party that's not Republican, that's not Democrat.
Yeah. Well, that's like my thing is like I have a bunch of friends who lean right, you know, like they're more libertarian. And so I'm trying to convince them, hey, instead of voting for the Republican, vote for the libertarian candidate, you know, because it's like if you really feel like you are more libertarian and not Republican and you want to change things and you're tired of how the system is, then vote libertarian. Like, because if you just keep voting for the Republicans, nothing is going to change for the better. It's
Yeah,
just going to continue to get worse and worse and worse, and all of our lives will continue to get worse. And it's like I have one friend who's a libertarian who like his thing is he cares a lot about mental health. And I'm like, dude, if you care about mental health, then you'll elect, you know, or then you'll try to vote for a libertarian who wants to enact some common sense drug policy, man. You know, like, because we need to be treating the drug epidemic as a mental health issue and as a health issue and not a crime issue.
yeah,
It'd be cool if the socialists and independents and greens and libertarians and got together and said something really appealing and then got a bunch of people from the Democrats to come over to that. And then we were able to run on like some common sense stuff and like anti-war and, you know, stuff, which is the hard part. I think the hard part to sell of the Greens. I mean, the marijuana thing that the nation seems to have come around to for real already, fully. But I mean, I just think it could kind of snowball, and there could be some sort of situation where like you just got lucky, all the factors come together, and like all those people somehow were working together and said try to put forward a candidate and a platform, then get Democrats on the side, then also pull a bunch of Republican votes over if it was common sense enough and strong enough. I don't know, but
Well,
the Greens and the Libertarians together equal like 5%. So.
yeah, well, like that's like why you know, the more I learn about what politics in this country was like before 2015, it's like the more I almost wish Bernie Sanders didn't run, because like all like the third parties were growing steadily before Bernie Sanders ran, and he actually inhibited the growth. Because like all of a sudden, all these people who were going to vote green, you know, all of a sudden they all went back to the Democratic Party and thinking there was hope and change for reform, you know, that it was possible, you know. And it's like now that they're screwing over the Democrats, it's starting to shift back the other way. and the Green Party has seen rapid growth since steady and rapid growth since 2016. But it's not enough.
Trump's gonna be able to guilt us all. They'll be able to guilt trip each and every one of us in 2020. Oh, you better do it. You better. Oh, it's just, I wouldn't do that if I were you. Oh.
I think the counter argument for that, Lucas, is that what Bernie Sanders did within the Democratic Party really opened a lot of people's eyes to how the Democratic Party actually works. And so if he wasn't running...
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
But they still got the only shop, and they're like the Walmart. I mean, they're a political party, but I mean, they're like the only place you can go to. I mean, something in some scenario. Like they're the Walgreens. Like they're, that's what they got. That's all they got. That's what they got. They're the only thing. They're the only thing in town. And so in 2020, it's either them or the other guy and the other guy. I think it's going to be a similar kind of mechanism or lever or sort of paradigm or whatever next time around. And just that's what's going to bother me. That's what bothers me right now is I feel like it's going to be a similar kind of showdown where it's like Democrats versus whatever same old very moderate, very centrist Democrat versus Trump, and maybe the centrist Democrat will win. I'm not saying they won't, but I'm just.
I think what also needs to happen is a lot of media needs to pick up on it, or there just needs to be a lot more media, and because when a candidate actually runs as a Democrat or Republican, and they put all this work into their campaign, what happens is someone ends up running in that party, and that party says, you know what, please opt out because we're just going to support this candidate. And those candidates either jump to a different party or they run as an independent. And we just need to see that happening everywhere and just say, hey, this is basically what the party does. And it's not just this person from this town, from this state. It's across all these states. They're all doing it. And it just has to be exposed.
I wasn't focusing it. Can you repeat that one more time for me? I'm sorry. Like, what you're describing?
So for whenever a candidate is running, someone who's pretty progressive or someone who's pretty libertarian and running for a Democratic or Republican party, the party will actually put in someone that they prefer as the leading candidate, even if they're not as popular or they're not raising as much money.
Like as a response, or like afterward, they'll do that afterward, like after you start running, like.
Yeah, just anyone who's running.
Really?
Yep. I mean, that's why you've got like Dr. Shiva. He was running, and they go, no, we want this person as candidate. So he's like, okay, I'm running as independent, because we always thought he was independent anyway. He's running as Republican just as a strategy. Same thing with Ohio, Lucas.
Dennis.
No, not Dennis Kucinich. I've been out of it for a while. I interviewed his
Sam Ronan.
Sam Ronan, yeah, he's running as a Democrat, and they go, no, we're picking this person as Democrat. So he's like, all right, I'll run as a Republican. Of course, they already have an incumbent Republican, but at least he can.
What's going on? I guess Tim Canova.
Yep, Tim Canova. So we see this happening a lot, especially for the bigger candidates. What ends up happening is the party picks the person that they want to represent them and their party for that town, for that district, for that state. And so we just need to actually show everyone out there, and everyone has to cover it within their state, and saying, hey, this person was doing really well as Republican or Democrat, and you know what? The party didn't want them to keep running, and they didn't support them.
They don't want any shakeups. They don't want any burps or hiccups. What do you call those? They don't want any hiccups. Like they just kind of like if Amazon wants to go to Louisiana, or they want to go to your state or my state or anybody's state, like they want the Democratic candidates in each occasion, each location to be like, green light to whatever the corporate dollars say. okay, sure, oh, this is against this interest. We wouldn't want any pesky protocol like happening in this state or that state or this area or that area. I don't know, or even arguments being made. It's like all just about, I guess, reducing friction or something. I can't, because I'm just trying to think why are the reasons for it.
Well, that's like Steny Hoyer in Colorado, being caught on the hot mic. He was saying that, or in that on the secret tape, like Steny Hoyer told that one guy in Colorado who's running for his seat to his face that the party, the DCCC decided to back Crow against him, and because they know better than the people, and because he's the corporate friendly candidate, and Levi, or whatever his name is, not. So they went behind his back, and they decided that they're going to throw all their money into Crow's campaign and support him because they know he'll toe the corporate line. And it's like that guy should not stay a Democrat. That guy should run as an independent.
Yeah. But the thing is, a lot of politicians are noticing that if you're not towing the line, you're not running as a Democrat, you're not running as a Republican, you're not raising the money, and the money that you would need is to run your ads on mainstream media. And mainstream media is not going to have you on unless you toe the line. So that's why we need to have an alternative, which is alternative media, independent media. But not everyone could be on Jimmy Dore's show. Not everyone could be on all these independent media shows. There's only so few of them. I mean, even if we gathered in as much as we could of all the people that we watch, it would be less than 20. I mean, there's not a lot out there. And how is 20 going to handle however many candidates that are running in 2018? There's probably thousands. I mean, you'd have to have like a couple of people a day interviewed on all these shows, and then that just detracts from the main focus of most of these media's topics anyway. They're not really there to interview candidates all the time.
Yeah, but there's such disorientation and like cacophonic noises and so much confusion, cacophonic noise. I don't know, so much. There's just so much like blah 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 going on, and everybody thinks that they know, and everybody's like they'll tell you how it is, and it's annoying and it's hard to sift through. So like I think there's a market, or there's a opening for within the democratic the political process for people who could assist people, help people out in those ways. And I think the biggest use or value or resource is whenever people can make jokes about it, like whoever it may be, because that helps helps you even deeper, like, not just for your head and for being like all this convoluted, confusing, tangled up stuff. It's like, when you get to laugh too about it, then that's also something, but so there's a market too with how bad everything is, how screwy everything is. Disrepair is a word I was arriving at today or whatever. That there's Eduardo Galeano wrote a whole book about it, like upside down, like saying the world's upside down.
Yeah, backwards world, mirror world. Some people say it's the Matrix. Say it's scripted. It's just it'd be so weird just being born into everything, all this, and not seeing where everything just kind of. How do you start from the very beginning at with scratch? And how do you do this? How do you do that? How does it get to the point that we're at now? It's I mean, even me, and I've been around. I'm not sure how old you guys are. You guys are youngins. I know Lucas is almost 19 now. Ben, you're what, 20s? You're in your 20s somewhere?
32, man.
Oh, 32. Yeah. You look a lot younger than I realized. And I'm nearing 40, and people have been around longer than us, and they've been kind of born into the same system, and everyone looks fondly at the old days when we're all kids, and we didn't really have computers. We didn't really have to play video games. We just like our kids. I know you have kids, Ben, but like you know how you get your kids a present when they're really young and they'd rather play with a cardboard box, right? Those are like the fond moments. Is like just the simple stuff. You don't need anything fancy or creative. All the creative stuff that happens in your head, that's what you enjoy the most.
Yeah, I guess you know, I was thinking about it this morning how I like YouTube in the sense that everything is there in a way. Like it's kind of even. It's not even at all. I mean, there's things going on, but it's kind of even, and it's kind of everybody has access, and everybody, you know, it's you custom create, you know, build what you subscribe to, so everybody's, you know, up to that and play. A lot of people playing with that, you know, to some degree. Um, but it's just it's nice because it's kind of like there could be like a Vivo or there could be other things, but it's kind of hard to replace YouTube or outdo it, and especially offer more breadth of you know, everything. So you know, that's kind of why I like it. So I like, you know, if somebody's going to recommend something that's already been uploaded, or like something else, some other various other way, I might stumble across something good from that's already from, you know, from days ago, weeks ago, months ago, whatever. But you know, like really, like I just sit around and I like to see what was uploaded the last day or whatever, you know, or whatever it is, and like that's, I don't know, I guess it's a vice of sorts, but yeah. And then there's always not doing that, and there's always whatever else. I mean, I've definitely been picking up some books and really enjoying reading and reading some books. It's very different. It's very nice. Like I always like, I don't like reading articles. I like to print them out and read them. It's better on my eyes. I don't, you know, there's a certain thing I'll do with, you know, with browsing around, you know, messing around with the internet. But I don't know. I think using it, trying to use it in, I don't know how to say the right words, like be productive or constructive, or kind of like have some kind of purpose, or have some kind of like directive of with yourself. Like, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to accomplish. This is something like that's what I'm kind of trying to work towards, spending my time with a little more that way. I don't know. It's not all the same. Not all internet time is the same.
I mean, I feel like just daily stuff is pretty good. I mean, um, like I had a problem. I could just tell a story of my so there's like a on the base. This is my basement, and there's like a shower head, and it all funnels down into this little sewer thing where it pumps up water into the sewage pipes. And so we have a sump pump, but that sump pump wasn't working too well, and then I was like trying to figure out why. So I had to get like a wet vac to drain all that water out and dump it out. What I ended up sucking through was a dead bat, and I touched it with my hands, my bare hands, because I was like, "What is that?" I thought it was just like plastic, and that's what was causing it to like not drain. I live right next to the sewer there, Jeffrey. And like just replacing a sump pump is easy, but you know what? They don't really have anything like it's a pedestal sump pump, but they don't have anything on YouTube. So you could easily just do a quick video on like how to replace a sump pump.
Wait, Ebon, you're telling me that on YouTube there's no videos for how to get a dead bat out of your sump pump?
Well, it didn't go in this. Oh, actually, did it go up the sump pump? No, it couldn't have gone up the sump pump, but it was just. It probably, I don't know. It caused it to break. I don't know why, because it was working before. I don't know how that dead bat got in there. I think that was part of our bat
Was
problem.
there anything about sump pumps?
Hmm?
Was there anything about sump pumps?
Yeah, there was some, but they didn't really. There really wasn't too much out there. I just had to wing it. I guess it's so simple that you don't need a video on it. But
Well,
at
they
least
like written forums, right? And now like there's going to be a video forum for. It's not really a forum though. It is a forum though. There's comments. I don't know. I was thinking about, you know, I told you about how I was gonna maybe do Zoom conversations, record it, even force myself to edit it, torture myself that way. But you know, I guess I see the virtue of having it live streamed so that people could be like, oh, check it out, like be maybe even comment, interact, and then be like, oh, okay, I guess I'll join in.
Yeah.
So there's like that's a virtue, you know, in terms of yeah, I see that. So
But it's also for me to be entertained because I love it when the live chat is trolling. It cracks me up. Like if there's any good ones out there, you know, I'll start laughing or just kind of smiling out of nowhere. I mean, it's
I've had so much of that. I've had so much of that. I mean, like I've sat around and I've been around in the chat so much. I'm just like, I'm good. I don't need extra of that. Jeez.
Well, speaking of trolls, Ebon, do you listen to Joe Rogan's podcast ever?
I watch it every once in a while.
Well, he a couple weeks ago, or like it was like the week before last, he had on the documentary filmmakers Chris and Mark Bell. They're the guys who made the documentary Prescription Thugs, and they're also like weightlifters and everything. And they were talking about food and nutrition and diets, and the diets that they were on, and like and like what like a lot of the health science from the 70s and 80s and 90s that people still live by today is bullshit. Like the whole fats are bad thing, and like and talk about the different diets that they've tried, like ketogenic diets. And like one of the guys on there is currently on a carnivore diet where he eats meat and fruit every day. And like that's like all he eats is like steak and apples pretty much. Is like what you could chalk it up to. And Joe Rogan like asked him because they were talking about vegans, like all these times that like vegans like where it went at them. And so whenever he brings up the carnivore diet, Joe Rogan asks him, and the guy's like, "Yeah, I get death threats from vegans all the time." And just made me think back to that video of that vegan woman calling you a fake Indian and like saying it's terrible because you caught a trout.
Yeah. There's another incident with a vegan that I had recently. But I forgot what it was. I'll have to figure it out. But yeah, I'm just realizing vegans are getting to be a little bit. I mean, there's some good vegans out there.
Yeah,
I just don't know why.
but it's usually not the people with vegan in their screen name. It's people like Christian who are like, if you ask, they're vegan.
Mhm.
Like but most people who are vegans are like outwardly vegan, and because of that they end up like proselytizing and evangelizing it and acting like like an evangelical Christian when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, Sarah, Sarah was recommending because I thought I had bed bugs, but instead I had bat bugs, or that's what I had. So I was trying to find cinnamon oil because she recommended cinnamon oil. Because actually, all these other oils that I found that I actually bought, the bat bugs didn't like them either. So we haven't had any problems with bat bugs by spraying the oil with distilled vinegar. So basically, 15 fluid ounces of distilled water and just 60 drops of oil. So I had 4 different types of oil, 15 drops each, and then just double that for 15 extra fluid ounces, and that's basically, and then 60 more drops. And that was really good. It was really effective. I like it because we've got a lot of wood flooring here, so that's where I sprayed it. It's like just natural products like that is just awesome. And of course, instead, we have all these products where it says, keep away from children and all this stuff. It's like we're spraying it on where children crawl around. So
Well, yeah, that's like, essential oils are great because like you can get a diffuser and have that go in your house, and it'll keep all the mosquitoes and stuff out. Because they won't like the smell of the peppermint or the spearmint or whatever you've got put into the air. Lemon, like that's like something that like they say is like the best thing. Like if you want to keep bugs out of your house, is to get get a diffuser and put peppermint oil in it, because like peppermint just keeps like all the different bugs away.
yeah.
So do you mind if I play a bit of a little video? It's like a guy who's trolling a vegan. It seemed pretty relevant. I like this troll because he's just fucking so damn hard-headed.
Go for it.
Is that cool?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Let's see here. All right, you gotta figure it out. It's ridiculous. Somehow it's okay. There we go. There we go.
He's always talking about morals, okay? He's a vegan, and he says it's morally wrong to eat meat because it causes the pain and suffering of animals. But the first time I saw this guy, he was talking about smashing a baby's skull on the pavement. Like, nah, I'm not kidding. That video was probably up somewhere.
I forgot how vulgar
This
it
dude,
was.
this is exactly what he talks about all the time. Like this guy brings up the argument in his video. This guy's trying to debunk about how this guy starved his dog. This guy here, all right, he's a vegan. He wanted his dog to eat a vegan diet and not eat meat. His dog was basically a wolf pup that needed to eat meat in order to survive. He thought, this guy here, vegan gains thought that all the nutrients and protein the dog would need would be included in his semen. And he would just, come on the meals, all right, the vegan diet. He would include his semen because that's how much he loves animals. And then the dog would be okay. No, the dog was not okay. The dog fucking starved almost to death. This guy's fucking nuts. He's a fucking animal abuser himself, talking about the well-being of animals. This guy's crazy. Like, throughout the video, when he's trying to debunk this guy, he's talking about morality. There's not a point where he's not talking about killing someone. He's not talking about killing this guy's family, and then he starts talking about murdering and raping this guy's family. If you need any evidence, just look this video up. And this guy will be talking about murdering and raping this guy's family and saying, "Oh, it's not morally wrong because morals are subjective." It's just ridiculous. He's a fucking maniac. And I swear, there's a part here where he swings around a BB gun.
All right, so none of that's true.
This guy tries to tell this guy he's full of shit, but
can you turn off that video or stop it? If you stop sharing, okay, you got it.
Yeah, I actually I'm gullible, so I was like, I don't know, it's some of that. Yeah, none of that's true. It was the guy's kind of a dork, but he does have a dog.
Okay. Gosh, a lot of it is also upbringing. Like my parents always killed all the spiders, and they didn't really understand spiders, so they just killed them. And they're the ones that ate all the bugs. So you don't really need so much stuff because the spiders will do it for you. I think I didn't film it or tell anyone, but like I laid out the mouse traps because I know I don't want those mice to starve. So if I found a mouse in those sticky traps, I would just cut its head off, just guillotine them. That's supposedly the quickest way to kill mice, which I was hoping I wouldn't have to do because I don't really want to kill any of the mice. But anyways, all it did was catch a spider, and it was a big spider, and I was like, how does a spider get caught in a sticky trap? Because I thought, because spider webs are sticky. Anyways, it took me maybe all of 5-10 minutes to just really steadily get all the sticky stuff off the spider's legs so the spider could move free. And I freed the spider. And it just took me, I was just kind of thinking, so I spent 10 minutes freeing a spider from a mouse sticky trap. Because I'm not afraid of the spider. I don't think it's one of those poisonous ones, and it would help lessen the bat bug population. And at that time it was bed bugs.
Record that and then narrate over it.
No, I just felt like I didn't. There were some times where I would want to live stream just on my phone before I had the internet up, and it was like I couldn't get on to live stream on YouTube for some reason. So I was like, screw it, I'll just.
I think guys like Wayne Smiles. I mean, I don't know. I just think you gotta be able to say what you want, like Hard Bastard. Kind of advocates for is like just be able to have your vulgar, whatever it is, free speech. What's that one guy? Sam Kinison. There's different cases of it, like people out there who would really push people. I felt like South Park pushed people, but I don't know. It's been a while.
Which is gonna
push your comfort zone.
What was that?
Pushing your comfort zone.
Yeah, I'm always pushing my comfort zone. I always want to be comfortable, but I always seem to be getting uncomfortable. And so I feel like always striving to reach my comfort zone, but I'm always outside of my comfort zone just to get there. I'm not sure if that's good or bad, but at least it gives me an incentive. You know, one day it's like,
I have my training. I have my training. I have my I have like how I was program condition. I don't know how you want to say it, but like I have my way that my upbringing and my kind of like cultural like mold of like kind of my impressions and family. Those kind of factors that my makes me like I'm expressing my particular my environment. You know, so and all that kind of stuff. But then like I take that like as a template, I guess, and then I'm always like asking myself to do better than or to you know it's kind of like I think about with raising kids from looking back at how you're like okay you have something that you want to definitely do and something you definitely don't want to do.
yeah.
And just that whole sifting, figuring out the difference, all those things is a lot of work.
Since you brought up spiders, I sent a link in the Zoom chat to a 2-minute video. It's like a funny documentary parody on spiders. You should watch it. It's really great.
Okay, I don't see it. My Twitter has been awfully weird on me too.
It's in the chat right here. Zoom chat.
Oh, Zoom. Okay. Duh.
Yeah.
All right. You know, you could. It's like, oh.
I would just share it, but I'm not sure how to do that on my mobile. I know how to do it on my desktop.
Oh
But
yeah. Don't worry. I'll just share it. Oh, is that a bat? Oh no, I don't. I think I might have seen that one before. Yeah, one thing I do hate about spiders is the spider webs collecting dust and dead bugs, and fire hazard, I guess, if you accidentally burn it, because they are pretty flammable. I've done that before. So put a lighter to like a web and it just goes whoosh. And they're always in my stuff. They're always in my computers because the computers are nice, warm stuff, especially when I'm in the basement. Which reminds me, I need to start cleaning. So keep talking. I'm gonna see. Oh shoot! There we go.
well,
I gotta
the
do
worst
that.
thing the worst spiders is just the walking through their webs. That's the worst part. Like because the webs wouldn't be so bad if you didn't like accidentally walk through them all the time. Like
That too.
that's the worst thing. Is like I'll go out to go to my garden, and I'll walk through like the opening, and like the opening has always got a spider web in it, and I always forget. And like I'll walk through, and all of a sudden my face, I can't see it, but I can feel it just all over my face, and I'm just like, oh, I wish I could see it that way. That way I knew to duck because it's never in the same place.
I'll start going into like. So what do you think about Bigfoot? Now, I wouldn't ask Bigfoot stuff, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Oh yeah, I moved something and now everything's all weird. Or YouTube actually shows it. So okay, the stream is good now on YouTube.
Well, I'm going to head to bed now. I'll see you guys later.
Okay. Yep. I'll see you, Lucas. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for hosting the chat.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, I won the debates on the last one.
I would keep it going, but no one else is joining, and I really want to clean up my basement, and I can't do that with talking, and you guys be hearing a lot of feedback if I wasn't muted. If other people want to come on in and talk, I can keep it going. Ryan, if you're going to start one up, we can all migrate to your channel. You haven't done a show lately. Otherwise, you know, Ben could talk while I'm vacuuming and cleaning. And you guys can see me cleaning in the background. I don't know how exciting that would be.
I'll read a passage.
All right.
Can I take votes? Can I get votes? What I should read?
I don't know if you can do polls or anything like that, but all right, you could go for it. I'm gonna mute myself until people join in, and then
No, nobody wants to hear me read. It's all good, dude. I'll peace out. See what's up. See if Ryan has
yeah, I don't think.
Let's stop holding you up.
Oh, what the heck? Oh, there we go. Yeah, but, Ryan's not gonna host. He's doing his mental health stuff, which is good. What the heck just happened? All right, yeah.
No, okay.
And you know, I'd rather set up and clean so I have something a little bit better to do stuff. Although, look.
Yeah.
I've got a pole.
Take care of that. What was it called? Pump? I forgot now.
The Ouija board?
No, it was something called Pump. It was something Pump.
Oh, the sump pump.
Sump Pump. Yeah.
Yeah, I already installed it. It's working. I need a bigger pipe. But I don't know. You'll see. We'll have more videos later. I'm not going anywhere anymore.
Yeah, you just moved. Tired.
Yeah,
Okay.
I am.
Settle in.
All right. Thanks for stopping in, Ben. It was nice talking to you.
Okay.
See you, everybody.